We just got another massive update to Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition, and now we know exactly what's happened to the Stargazers as well as the Get of Fenris. A recent blog post from Paradox has also explained what's happening with the Werewolf Forms as well as the Auspices. And the creative director, Justin Achilli, did a live stream where he answered quite a few common questions. He also covered a lot about what Werewolf the Apocalypse is going to be, what they are trying to make it, and for me, it puts a lot of things at ease. But will it be enough for even the most skeptical, the most off-put by this new edition to get them to even try it? Hello everyone, welcome to the table. My name's Nathaniel. I'm just some nerdy guy on the internet who talks about world lore in World of Darkness, as well as the games in the Paizoverse. If that's something you're interested in, I would love to have you join me at the table. First, let's talk about some things that we learned in this stream. One of the main points that they've been trying to drive home is the fact that 5th edition is going to be its own edition. And this is nothing new. They are taking a solid break from the previous editions, the legacy editions as they've been calling them, but they are still cherry picking some of the history to come forward. And one of the things that is coming forward is the Triat, the Wild, the Weaver, and the Wyrm. They are all making a move over to 5th edition, although their history may not be exactly the same. They will still be core to the belief system of the werewolves, as they always have been, but they will be adjusted for the new setting, or the modern setting. And in 5th edition, the apocalypse is basically happening now. Something else that's also making a move over, which I appreciated, is the Umbra, or the Umbra as some of you may call it. The Umbra is the spiritual world. It's the mirror image to our own reality, distorted by the emotions, the things that appear there. Its presentation in the legacy editions was always something loose, something fluid. I think they're trying to keep some of that while making it mechanically more feasible in the new edition, so it will be changing slightly, and from the sounds of it, it will also be something that is more dangerous to the werewolves, being that the apocalypse is happening. One change that they are making mechanically to the game is the issue around Wyrm Taint. They are trying to remove some of the black and white around certain issues. One specific thing that Justin talked about in this stream was the ability Detect Wyrm. This ability in and of itself has actually been removed. It will not be carried forward into this new version. They made this choice with the goal of making things more ambiguous. I feel that this was a good change. It opens the doors for more nuanced storytelling opportunities. You could actually work with vampires now because they won't just reek of death. I mean, well, they're still dead, but you know. One thing that they are bringing over from Vampire 5th edition to Werewolf 5th edition is the sense of tension between the different age groups. The elder werewolves who were aware of a better time have different thoughts on how things should be done, versus the new school werewolves, those who are starting to come up into the world. The idea with this was to make introductions to werewolf easier for new players because they won't know the history, not like the history matters anyways because they're just break from it. But some of you older players who are more familiar with the legacy systems and the lore that was contained within those, you're probably going to find this off-putting. Mechanically and thematically, we are going to have a rage dice system, and that will be the core to the game itself. But it sounds like there's going to be a balancing act between the rage that you feel and losing control of the beast within, which is also something that vampires struggle with too. But the flip side of that is depression, Werewolf Hirano, and this is definitely going to be included in the new edition, but they are still sorting out the mechanics of this. There are also a couple of fundamental changes that are happening with Werewolf that we really need to address. Touchstones will be included in Werewolf 5th edition. Whether you love them or hated them, they are included in 5th edition of Vampire as well as the new Hunter edition. They will also be making an appearance here in Werewolf. Not a huge fan of this system personally. I understand why it's included. You want to give your storytellers some things that you can use to engage your character. I don't know. I'm not happy with its implementation. Now, before I tell you what happened to the Get of Fenris, let's talk about the Stargazers. I'm going to tease you a little bit. The Stargazers are still part of Werewolf the Apocalypse. They are not a playable clan as of yet. Essentially what they are saying is the Stargazers weren't happy with the direction that the Garou Nation were taking, and they removed themselves from the Garou Nation. They are still werewolves. They are still involved in the mythos of Werewolf the Apocalypse. They are designing them more to be enigmatic antagonists, not necessarily the bad guys. Are they helping you? Are they looking out for their own interests? Is it a mix of both? They are still fighting to stop or end the apocalypse, but they are just doing it their own way because they didn't like the way that the Garou were handling it. One of the other fundamental changes that's going to take some time for me to get used to is the fact that tribes and auspices do not mean what they used to. A tribe is going to be more around what you do to combat the effects of the Wyrm, to stop the apocalypse. And an auspice is going to be more based around how you do it. And because werewolves are creatures of action, we will definitely have some combat, and they are looking to make that a focus for this system. But that doesn't mean that gifts and rights are not going to be included. They definitely will be part of this. I'm not sure if I like this change. I will reserve my judgment until I have the book in hand, can read it, and get a chance to play around with it, and then I will decide then if I am a fan or not of this change, but I remain skeptical. Another change they are making that I remain skeptical of is how werewolves are born. It's no longer determined through breed or through kin, and I will talk about breed forms in a minute. The way I understand this now is werewolves just kind of happen and no one knows why. A change like this has far-reaching effects through any systems that used to exist in Werewolf to the new system. It can also have some significant changes to other antagonist groups, like Pentex, for example. Some good news, we do know that other changing breeds will be included in this setting, which is a big positive. And in the core rulebook, we should get some examples of the changes to Korax, as well as the Ananasi. And we will likely see future releases around specific changing breeds, the other Fera, and I'm okay with this. Now, we're not quite done yet with the updates. I'm still going to talk about the auspices, the breeds, and what we know about the Get of Fenris. I'm just going to keep teasing you with it. For auspices, we are still going to have the 5 auspices. They are still going to be based off of the same moon symbols: Ragabash, Theurge, Galliard, Philodox, Arun. They're still going to be part of this system. The glyphs for all of these will have changed or been updated in some way. I will deep dive these in a different video. They have said that combat was going to be a focus for Werewolf, so what about the forms? This is going to be a combat-oriented game, and werewolves like to change their shape. We are still going to have the Homid form, the Krynos form, the giant war beast. We are also going to have Hispo, Galambro, and Lupus. I am glad they decided to keep all of those. I will also do something in the future talking about these forms. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, what exactly happened to the Get of Fenris? Here's what we know so far. The Get of Fenris went crazy in their fight against the Wyrm. They became very divisive, not like they weren't already, but they took it to a whole new extreme. They ended up adopting the "you're with us or against us" mentality, and that mentality really became the driving force behind the tribe. So from their perspective, they left the Garou Nation because nobody was on the same page as them. They ended up going to extremes in their fights, and this of course separated them from the Garou Nation, and they decided that they would be better off doing their own thing alone. The Get of Fenris will be an antagonist within this new 5e setting because they are constantly fighting the Wyrm, and basically if you disagree with them, well, you're corrupted by the Wyrm, so we have to kill you. They are pretty far along in their creative process, in their writing process, so I suspect we will see a middle of the year 2023 release, maybe towards the end. That is purely my speculation. They haven't given any kind of release window as of yet. I am starting to get a little bit more excited now. I'm wanting to see some of the things that they are adjusting and how they've made them work. I believe they are trying to make all the 5e settings work together in some ways, so multi-splat will be possible. That's the sense that I'm getting. But tell me how you feel about all of these changes in the comments below. If you're looking for other Werewolf the Apocalypse news, I got you covered here. Thank you to all of my patrons for supporting me and the channel. My name's Nathaniel. Bye!